Good morning. My name is Chris Fox, and today we're talking about how the downturn is affecting my book sales. We're just going to look at a segment of my backlist. We're going to go over the Space Fantasy, the Magitech Chronicles books, and I'll show you how they're doing from the first day of the shutdown through today. We'll just take a look at that. And I want to talk about why you're seeing what you're seeing, because you'll see sales are fairly steady, and page reads actually increased in the beginning and are doing pretty well and have held on fairly consistently for almost a month now. So I'm not seeing a huge difference from the downturn in terms of book sales, but my book sales are way different than most people's backlists. My primary sellers are discounted books, 99 cents. And where the bulk of my revenue is coming from right now is either audiobook sales, because those take credits. Those haven't seen a dramatic increase. They're doing fairly well, but because I get a lot of exposure on ebooks, that drives some traffic towards audiobooks. But I have noticed that since people aren't commuting, audiobooks have dropped some. They're certainly not doing great, but they are doing okay because my ebook sales are helping to keep them afloat somewhat, because it is driving some of that exposure, as I mentioned. Paperback sales are almost non-existent. They've slowed down so dramatically compared to any other time I've seen in the last 5 years. Like I said, almost non-existent. And I know part of that is because of delivery times, but man, it's just crazy to watch that line just flatline. And again, we'll see that in the second half of the video. But before we get there, I wanted to talk about why my sales haven't been all that impacted. And again, that has to do with discounted books. I'm thinking about my audience, which is why I've chosen to discount almost every book that I have. I've cut them as low as I possibly can. I've made as many of them 99 cents as I can. The ones that are more expensive than 99 cents, I've tried to reduce some in price, because people are hurting right now. And they don't have the money or, really the security in the future to make investments in themselves in the same way that they did, whether that's for entertainment for their sanity or a book that's going to help them be a better writer, which, happens to be what I sell. In both cases, all the books that I have that are doing well and the numbers that you're going to see being fairly, flat and fairly constant are, I believe, because I have that inexpensive offering. Either people are reading it in Kindle Unlimited, which costs them nothing, or they're paying 99 cents for a single book that's going to give them many, many hours of entertainment. And when I say many, many hours, I'm talking like 60 plus for some of the box sets that I released. The Magitech Chronicles, it has the complete series as a single box set, and that's driving most of the page rates for me right now in that genre. So I've really kind of taken some notes here and am working on discounting fiction and going less expensive for the time being, because that seems to be where my audience is. And I learned along the way that I was opening up international markets that I've never really tapped into by doing that. Much to my surprise, my Indian share, the share of the India market, is growing fast, because now my books are actually affordable for the people that live there. The nonfiction ones were, $4.99, and were discounted down to 99 cents. And I saw a lot more sales in that region than I ever have in the past, and some other areas of the planet. So I'm just trying to adopt a different paradigm, even if it's temporary. I do still have some series that I sell at close to full price, but those aren't selling very well right now. And I'm seeing the same thing where, big name authors in a number of different genres and communities that I'm in are saying, hey, I'm seeing a huge slowdown. And as you're going to see in the second part of the video, I'm not. And my numbers aren't as big as some of the crazy hitters in the genres that I write in, but they're pretty solid and they're staying consistent. So anyway, let's jump into the second half of the video. We'll take a look at my screen. And before we do so, as always, when we're looking at numbers, guys, this is not profit, does not go into my pocket. This is the revenue that the business earns. And a lot of this has to be channeled back into, cover artists and designers and editors and, advertising and, all the stuff we have to do to run these businesses. So it's not going into my pocket. I'm not a rich man. I am making a pretty good living, and I'm thankful that I'm still able to do so during the shutdown. But I wanted to just show you the pattern. And this goes to people are seeking escapism, and I'm in a position to provide it for them inexpensively. So here we go. Let's jump in. Okay, so we are looking at my sales in the space fantasy genre over the last 30 days, since that straddles the shutdown and when it happened. And it's important to note that if you look at the chart, as we're just staring at the chart, you can't see a point where there was a huge dip in sales. They're all pretty flat. It all seems to average right around, $350 a day in the genre. You can see it slowly going down, which every curve does after a release. Like you are expecting that to happen, getting gradually fewer and fewer page reads a day until, 60 to 90 days after a release, it's really faded. So this is a totally normal sales curve for me. I would expect to see nothing different from this. You can see it's a nearly flat line going down. And that is because, royalties are a little bit different, but in general, you can see royalties are not fluctuating that much either. So people buying books. And it's because, again, all the stuff that you're seeing here is discounted heavily. So the new releases are $2.99 each. And the big box set with all 7 books and an ending is 99 cents. So, this is definitely the top seller that's driving everything, because it's one of those no-brainer deals where if you think this might be worth taking a chance at, it's 7 complete books with an ending for a single dollar. Like, so many people are like, yep, all over that. And it's just moving so many copies. And has really kind of paid for itself many times over, even though we're going through this shutdown. So what does that say to me? Well, I think that full price sales right now are not going to do what they have done in years past. And I don't know when that's going to correct itself. People are scared. People are not knowing where their next paycheck is going to come from for a lot of people right now, or if they're going to get their stimulus check, or, where their money is coming from. And so they're very reticent to spend money. And so asking full price for my books right now seems like it's not something that a lot of people are going to be able to do. And if you are selling books at full price, great. I know that there are audiences out there still that can do that. But I'm just trying to explain why my page reads seem to be about the same as normal, because I've talked to a lot of authors in a lot of communities, and what most people seem to be saying is that sales are down. And that makes sense. I mean, overall, you'd expect that. But if you are working the discount angle in those areas, I don't seem to have lost any ground. And in fact, I've actually picked up ground in some foreign markets, which surprised me. I'm talking more about the nonfiction here. I discounted all of my books for the first time in 3 years, from $4.99 to 99 cents. And those are performing very well in foreign markets, which I may have mentioned in the first part of the video, so I'm sorry for repeating myself. Anyway, guys, that's a peek at sort of how fiction sales are doing on my end. All the genres are fairly similar that I run. If it's escapism and the books are inexpensive, they are selling pretty well. If they are full price, they are not. Definitely not seeing a lot of sales at $4.99 compared to what I did a few weeks ago. But again, just one more time, this is the first day of the shutdown, and you can't really see any difference. It may have, suppressed sales a little bit, but not a ton, because I didn't do much promotion for Hatchling when it came out, because it's so deep into a series. It's mostly my own list that is interested in it. So again, not seeing, the downturn I would expect, but if I raise the prices on my books, I bet that I would. I do notice that my ad advertising is less effective than it has been, and so I have dialed back my ad spend, but the margin of profit seems to be about the same. Anyway, guys, if this is useful, let me know in the comments. If you have questions, also let me know, and I will do my best to answer them. For those of you that are curious about my workout situation, good news on that front. I have ordered an Olympic squat rack, an Olympic bar, and weights. So it'll take a few weeks, but in early May, I should be set up to do exactly my routine, exactly the way I want to do it. And as I've mentioned, the gym is my temple. I want that back. Also, things are going great with Kalen, for anybody's curious. That is my son. He is just over 3 months old. I've got a lot of questions about his well-being. Kalen is doing great during this whole shutdown thing, and I hope you guys are too. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the writing, and I will see you next week.